Good afternoon.
Could you please state your name and spell your last name for the jury, please?
Charles Ray, R-A-E.
And how are you employed, sir?
I work for the Canton Police Department.
And how long have you been a member of the Canton Police?
Approximately 25 years.
And what rank or assignment do you currently have with the Canton Police?
I'm a lieutenant.
And how long have you had the rank of lieutenant with the Canton Police?
I've been a lieutenant for about 9 years.
And what, if any, sort of specialized duties or assignments do you have within the Canton Police Department?
Day-to-day, I'm going to be a patrol shift commander. Some ancillary duties include overseeing the Family Services Unit, which includes juvenile services, school resource officers, sexual assault investigations, and special populations.
And if I could turn your attention to January 29th, 2022, were you working that day?
I came in to work the day shift about 7:30 a.m.
Okay, what is the day shift of the Canton?
7:45 a.m. to 3:45 p.m.
And when you arrived that day at the department, what if anything was sort of going on at the department that day when you arrived?
It was a well forecasted snowstorm. It was in the early stages. When I came in, there was a lot of, there usually is a shift change, a lot of comings and goings, leaving the shift, people coming onto the shift. It was a busy dispatch area at that time.
And at some point after you arrived at work, were you made aware of a call that your department had dispatched to shortly after 6 a.m. on that day?
Correct.
And just in general terms, what was it that you learned about that call?
The outgoing shift sergeant, he returned. There's a roll call. I believe that day, I don't recall there being a roll call, but there was exchange of information as there typicly is, the dispatch area. And I was advised that there was an unresponsive man found in the snow, Fairview Road.
And that outgoing supervisor was who?
Sergeant Sean Goode.
And if any information were you given as far as the unresponsive man?
He was a Boston police officer. He was 34 Fairview Road.
At some point, did you learn what his name was?
Yes, Mr.
And who did you learn?
Mr. John O'Keefe.
And are you familiar with Mr. O'Keefe?
I had never met him before, no.
At some point, did you become aware of where he lived?
Yes.
And what you would learn from Sergeant Goode's, in addition to Keefe being transported from the scene to the hospital, who, if anyone else, was transported from the scene to the hospital?
I was advised that his girlfriend was on the scene as well, and she was subsequently transported to Good Samaritan Hospital, same hospital that Mr. O'Keefe was transported to.
And at some point, in the course of that morning, did you become aware of that Mr. O'Keefe was responsible for as far as the legal guardianship?
Yes, I was aware that he was the guardian of young children, may or may not be at the house at that time unattended. The fact that both he and his girlfriend were transported.
Based on that information, what, if anything, did you decide to do?
I'm not sure if it was a suggestion of the former chief or if it was just organically developed, but it seemed like the right thing to do a well-being check on the children at the on Meadows Ave, which was Mr. O'Keefe's residence.
And just with respect to the former chief specifically, who are you talking about?
Berkowitz.
Well-being check, if you could describe to the jury, so what is involved in that and what does it entail as it applies to this situation?
As it applies to this situation, I believe that there may be 2 young unattended children and that both Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Read wouldn't be returning to the house anytime soon. We wanted to check on them so that if they woke up and where everybody was and need some assistance, that perhaps we could provide that and locate other loved ones or bring them to the police station if we had to, just to kind of some sort of comforting presence.
And within the Canton Police Department, is there a specific cruiser that's allocated for sort of shift supervisor?
Yes, 682.
And is that the cruiser that you used to go to One Meadows Ave?
We did.
And when you say we, who, if anyone, went with you?
Sehan and I. He was the incoming sergeant.
And what, if any, role does Sergeant Leanne have with regard to the department? Specific role?
Now he's a detective sergeant and prosecutor. At that time, he was a shift sergeant.
And so the 682 cruiser that you were driving, are you aware that that has a cruiser camera affixed to it?
Correct.
Have you had occasion to review that footage from that particular cruiser on that particular morning?
I have now, yes.
If I could, to publish for the jury for Exhibit 41. Okay. If I could have that on the screen, if I could ask Gilman if you could fast forward to 2 hours, 3 minutes, and what's up on the screen right now? Do you recognize what that is?
That'd be the interior of Sallyport Door 3, which is where the 682 would have been parked.
And from there is where you drove from that position to One Meadows Ave, correct?
Correct.
Gilman, if you could just run for about a minute. If you could pause it there. And Ms. Gilman, if you could, I would ask you to fast forward to about 2 hours, 9 minutes and 25 seconds. If you could play it from there, please. What's up on the screen, Lieutenant? Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what do you recognize that to be?
One Meadows Ave.
And sort of toward the middle of the screen is that sort of front door to the home. Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
The door that you went to, is that the door or did you go to a different door?
I don't remember which door we went to.
With respect, Ms. Holman, had you ever been there before?
No.
Subsequent to this, did you come to learn also that the residents of One Meadows Ave had cameras of its own?
Yes.
Have you seen camera footage from both the driveway and the front door from the residents from that morning when you were there?
Yes.
Now, as far as a well-being check, if you could just sort of describe to the jury, what is it that you're doing with regard to a well-being check when you come to a house like this?
We check to see if there's anybody there, typically the case. And I'm going to go knock on doors and see if there's any activity of anybody at the home.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could hit play. So it appears from this you pull into the driveway at One Meadows Ave, is that correct?
Yes.
And there's a vehicle directly in front of you, correct?
Correct.
And at the time, you were not aware of sort of the particulars of the incident that occurred earlier in the morning, correct?
Correct.
And fair to say, from what's depicted up on the screen, was that essentially what the driveway looked like at that time when you came in there at approximately 8:23 in the morning, correct?
Yes.
And as far as when you went to knock on the door, are you just knocking on the front door and then no one answers and that's it? Or do you look around the house? What is it that you do on a well-being check?
You would go to the front door or the door that you think everyone would use in a whatever the situation was. Take a cursory glance around to see if there's any reason to check anywhere else. In this case, it's a fenced backyard, so I'm not going to be going back there. If in this case, we weren't looking for someone that might be a dead body, we were looking for 2 children that would be up and active.
Now, as far as that vehicle that's parked in the driveway in front of you, did you have any reason to look at it, inspect it, or anything like that at this point that you're at the house?
No.
And as far as any condition of it, specifically the right rear passenger side, you didn't have any occasion to go inspecting that or looking at it at that point, correct?
Correct.
Now, as far as from this video, the condition of the right rear passenger side and the condition vis-a-vis the left rear passenger side, that's how it appeared in the driveway when you pulled up, correct?
Correct.
Ms. Gilman, if you could hit play. You could pause right there, Ms. Gilman. Sorry, the individual just sort of crossed the front of the cruiser. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
And who is that?
that was me.
Sure how, may we approach?
Okay, we're gonna need you back tomorrow, we're going to break for today.
Okay.
Jurors, that's it, you can stay just for a minute, please. No, that's it for today.
Lieutenant, so we're about 2 hours, 10 minutes, and 58 seconds into this particular cruiser video. With respect, if you could just remind the jury where we are and what we're looking at here.
This is One Meadows Ave, Canton, Mass., John O'Keefe's residence.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could hit play at this point. Now, Lieutenant Read, while this is up on the screen, if I could ask you to, you've reviewed this video since this date of January 29, 2022, correct?
Yes.
And using the laser pointer in front of you, if you could direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, you noted in regard to the rear area of the vehicle in front of your cruiser.
This vehicle right here is Miss Reed's vehicle. I believe that vehicle there is Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle. And I didn't, although I didn't know it at the time, but I have since
During the course of
seen if we could raise anybody and get any response.
time that you were you able to raise anybody? And at some point subsequent to this, what, if anything, did you learn from children at the time that you were at the residence?
We left and we weren't able to raise anybody. Shortly thereafter, we subsequently we did find out that the children were staying with Emily at this time.
And Lieutenant, if you know, approximately how long were you at the residence doing this well-being check?
5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes.
About 2 hours, 16 minutes, and 30 seconds. You can stop there, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. That driveway area that was in front of your vehicle when you parked there, what, if anything, did you note within the driveway itself?
There's 2 vehicles in the driveway.
Anything on the ground that you noted anything on the ground beyond snow, did you know?
No, sir.
Sure.
Now, sir, with reference to the residents of One Meadows Ave, are you familiar with there being a security system or ring video system at that residence?
Yes, there is a ring camera system at that residence.
And subsequently to this date, have you seen that ring video?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, if I could have Exhibit 6. If I could have video 159. Now, Lieutenant Ray, what's up on screen? Do you recognize that?
Yes. The driveway of One Meadows Ave and Lehan exiting our cruiser while in the driveway.
And Ms. Gilman, if you could just play it through from there. Screen, Lieutenant, do you recognize that?
Yes, me exiting the front of the residence, walking towards the driveway.
Good, play through. Ms. Gilman, can I have Exhibit 5, if you could just pause it there?
See if there's anything in plain view through the windows, if I can see anybody, any persons, any activity.
Just one moment, Your Honor.
Okay, Christine Eddy?
Defense has no questions.
Okay, you are all set.